Walk with me.
O I am my God of my salvation. I have cried day and night before thee. Let my prayer come before thee. Incline thy ears unto my cry. For my soul is full of troubles. My life draweth nigh unto the grave. I am counted with them that go down into the pit. I am as a man that hath no strength. Free among the dead, like the slain that lie in the grave, whom thou rememberest no more, and they are cut off from thy hand. Thou hast laid me in the lowest pit, in darkness, in the deeps. Thy wrath lieth hard upon me, and thou hast sacrificed me with all thy waves, Selah. Thou hast put away my acquaintance far from me. Thou hast made in me an abomination unto them. I am shut up, and I cannot come forth. My eye mourneth by reason of affliction. I have called upon daily upon thee. I have stretched out my hands unto thee. Thou wilt show wonders to the dead. Shall the dead arise and praise thee, Selah? Shall thy loving kindness be declared in the grave, or thy faithfulness in destruction? Shall thy wonders be known in the dark, and thy righteousness in the land of forgetfulness? But unto thee have I cried, O I am. In the morning shall my prayer prevent thee. I am, why castest thou off my soul? Why hidest thy face from me? I am afflicted and ready to die from my youth up. While I suffer thy terrors, I am distracted. Thy fierce wrath goeth over me. Thy terrors have cut me off. They came round about me daily like water, and they compassed me about together. Lover and friend hast thou put far from me, and my acquaintance into darkness. Psalms chapter 88. Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, those of you on this platform and those shared platforms. Yes, you're walking with Mr. Clay, and I'm Mr. Clay. That was Psalm 88. And deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seeds forever, that we go not astray henceforth and evermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Those of you on this platform and those shared platforms, we thank God for you. We thank God for the times that we're in. Yes, we have some that have sacrificed their lives in protest to governments and have caused themselves to lose much. And that not only their people, but some of you, some have sacrificed for you. Here in the U.S. in the past and even this day, that have protested the racism, the bigotry, the greed, the injustices, not just for those of a certain hue, but for all peoples. But the injustice seems to be more prevalent among those of darker hue. The fact is that these are the days, as it was often said, that try men's souls. These are the days where leaders and those who are entrusted with great sums of money and wealth and welfare of the people versus their own are tried, and many are found wanting. Leaders. How can you look in a baby's face or a woman's face that is a mother, and a good mother at that, we'll put it that way, or the face of a family when they're together, and kiss the babies, yet here you are, you cause yourself to do the opposite of what benefits them. But nevertheless, we thank God for you and you and you. And with a hand clap of praise, we thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning. And those of you that have been with us thereafter and here and there's about, we thank God for you. And also those of you who have just subscribed. Yes, just subscribe. We glorify God for you. And we thank the Most High for those of you that are about to subscribe, calling those things that are not as though they are. Yes, yes, all praises to the Most High. All praises to Him who have created all things. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We're still in the book of Jasher. We're still in the book of Jasher. Very interesting book. It's a great journey. Well, one thing you really have to think about when you read the holy books, you're going off on a trip. You're going off on a journey into delving into what they did years ago, regardless of what color they were or what this was and that was. You're going off into the characteristics of men. And you'll see those characteristics even prevailing even this day and time. Yes, you'll see the hatred, the love, the envy, the strife, the backbiting, the malignity, the lust, the desire, the greed. All these things are contained in these books. Why are they contained in these books? The good, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable. But then you weigh them to today's things. We have concocted our own of what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. Those things that were unacceptable back then resulted in death. Whereas these days they are resulting in praise and tolerance, even murder. Yes, we've come to a very wicked time. Wicked, very wicked. And God has a way. And the cup of the Most High, even as we read in previous Psalms, is full. And when He poured out, He's going to pour it out to the last drop. Not only is here, I believe it's in the book of Jeremiah also. He's going to pour it out. You see the different countries, how they're fighting with each other. One, because of they're losing their sovereignty and they're losing their wealth and they're losing everything. And the other countries are saying, we just want to be counted. We just want to be among those. And then those who have to have nuclear bombs these days. Nuclear bombs to try to ward off and avert those who would try to overtake them and take their resources and take all kinds. See, these things have to be. They have to be, because you have bullies in the world, just like you have bullies in your neighborhood, or you have a certain gang that want to bully families and take and break in your homes and stuff. So you buy firearms and you do these things that, I mean, you hope that you never have to use them. And people that, I mean, the violence that goes on. The more riches you get, the more you can fill yourself with lavishes. You have to worry about thieves that would break in, or those that would force themselves in to take what you have, even your life. Whereas you get a poor person with nothing. You come among the poor, you see the doors open, everything just, they're not on drugs or nothing. They just, and a bunch of children running around, even here in the U.S. They don't care because they don't have anything. What can you steal? You see a woman, she just sitting there, middle-aged woman, just whatever. This is our societies today. Men and women are not in love no more, trying to seek how they can overcome each other, one for the flesh and one for the money. Yes, this is what it results to. But it can be better. It can be better. Now, we're in chapter 70, Jubilees chapter 70. We ended with chapter 37. And we're going to pick it up where Balaam, as you prepare, Balaam, this wicked man who's demonically, I mean, he's known by the spirit world for some reason, not in the light of Enoch, the prophet Enoch, but he's just like some today, like your Nostradamus. No doubt this man has had connections with the spirit realm. Some of you prophets, even that listen to me now, you're not showing your face. Some of you are incognito, listening to what I'm saying right now. You use God, you use his name, you say the Lord, but what Lord are you talking about? There is no Lord Jesus. There's a Messiah. There's one that will lead, but when he leads, that hasn't been yet. For the law leads you out of darkness into the marvelous light. Oh, the laws don't. No. Don't get it wrong, my friend. A man can only enforce that what God give him that to enforce. And that was happening to the Levitical priesthood and the captains of tens and hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands, and so on and so forth. But now one man can lead you. He can remind you of what the Most High said. That's it. And he can set the example of what the Most High means. But only the Most High can lead you out of this hellhole, or lead you out of your present situation into a better one. And that only comes by your obedience. And then sometimes he will leave you in it to see if you really love him. He knows your heart. He wants you to know your heart. See, God's not playing with you because he knows the foolishness of the heart of mankind. He knows your foolishness. He knows how you, deep in your heart, you're trying to trick God. Many of you, men and women, bargaining, just like one who's on his deathbed. You come through 3 stages, bargaining, and then you come to denial, and then you come to acceptance, and not anything in that order. Before the Most High in your situation. God says he's going to do a thing for you, then you get it. Just like the Satan came up to God, and one time he said, you know, once you bless them, they're going to do nothing but turn against you. That's it. And rightly so. He told it the way it was, and it was right in what he said. But let us continue. Verse 38. And when Moses heard these things, his anger was kindled against Balaam, and he sought to kill him. And he was in ambush for him that day. And Moses knew what Balaam had did since a child, because Balaam wanted Moses dead when he was a child. This was a spirit. The spirits in Balaam. I don't know whether he was demon possessed or he just made friends or he made a life with the devils. In 39, Balaam was afraid of Moses. See, this is why Moses was yet a teenager, or an older person. I'll put it that way. Balaam was afraid of Moses, and he and his 2 sons rose up and went forth from Egypt. And they fled and delivered their souls and betook themselves to the land of Cush, which today is really Ethiopia, to Kikanos, king of Cush. Kikanos, yes. Either one you want to say. Now, verse 40, and Moses was in the king's house going out and coming in, and the I gave him favor in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants, and in the eyes of all the people of Egypt, and they loved Moses exceedingly. Now, you understand, on your jobs and different places that you go, even in the neighborhoods that you might go in that are very rowdy or very hostile. It's God that gives you favor to do the things that you do in that place. Among those who oppose you because of the hue of your skin, but they allow you. God gives you reason to go there because God is setting something up. See, God, you cannot know God by figuring him out. Even though you say, oh, babies, this is satanic. A child is nothing to God in that sense, unless he has a purpose for that child, or he has a purpose for the death of that, because of the death of that child. Even for a woman or a man. But the devils know how to just prick people. He knows how to prick people. Not to be desensitized because of families and the wants and desires of other people and to see others' lives come. But the fact is that sometimes you have to see it God's way. Why are you doing this, God? I cannot get angry at you, God, because you are God. Your power is beyond my imagination, even my discernment. Your reasoning is far reaching than even my understanding and wisdom that I could ever attain in this world. See, we have to see God, but many of us see our own situations. We see our own, those that we love. Although God sees something else, he sees a man, he sees a woman, he sees a spirit. He sees things. He's the creator. That's it. It's not that we accept everything that happens, or that if a man kills someone or deletes someone in your family, you have every right to go after that person. Regardless of the laws, you're going to have to pay for it, but yet you have every right. If you're willing to sacrifice and say, hey, so you've done it to him, I'm going to do it to you. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. But you have to be willing to give up something. Do you love that person enough to do that? God loved you enough to do a lot of things. You just don't see it. And it wasn't the death of Jesus on the cross, as you say. Let's continue. Verse 41. And the day arrived when Moses went to Goshen to see his brethren, and he saw the children of Israel in their burdens and hard labor, and Moses was grieved on their account. And Moses returned to Egypt and came to the house of Pharaoh and came before the king, and Moses bowed down before the king. Yes, okay. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, I pray thee, my king, or my Pharaoh, I have come to seek a small request from thee. He didn't say Lord. There was no such thing as a Lord back then. Lord is a new word that come with Europe somewhere. Old English. I have come to seek a small request from thee. Turn not away my face empty. And Pharaoh said unto him, Speak. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Let there be given unto thy servant the children of Israel who are in Goshen, one day to rest therein from their labor. Now you see the movie, many of you did not know this. They used this same thing out of Jasher in the movie with Charleston Heston. The book of Moses, that's what it was called, I think. Or the Ten Commandments, yes, Ten Commandments with Charles. They used the same one. The line that he very spoke came from this book right here in the 44th verse of the 70th chapter of the book of Jude. Somebody was studying this book. Come on here. There's a lot of validation in this book, not only in the 66 books, but everywhere. Now see, you got to look at the different books that are written. There was books that were lying, books that told things that were far off, but you have to see. You have to actually read them to understand. You just can't just say, well, some of you read a book and say Adam and Eve died many times. Where is that written anywhere else? Where is a witness to this book? Where is a witness? See, this is what we look for, witnesses. And if there is a witness, let's go to that book and see why. These people saw this stuff. And the king answered Moses and said, Behold, I have lifted up thy face in this thing to grant thy request. In other words, he's giving it to him. He says, okay, 1 and 7, according to their calendar. See, this is why it's no big deal, those of you who do the Sabbath on the 7th day, because many of you don't know and you're used to doing it that way, even though it's the Gregorian calendar. But God calls his calendar by nature. The new moon is the new month. regardless. By the new moon, we call the years, we call the months and the weeks and the days by the new moon. And it sort of gives you a little more time on earth than the Gregorian calendar. So therefore, are you going to go by God? God is nature. He created nature, so that his timing is nature. But your timing uses nature, but it's of man's concoction. Now, so we got that out of the way. You go ahead and do your 7th day. God knows you have a good heart. You want to do what's right, and this is what you were persuaded to do. Plus, it's convenient for you. Yes, it's very convenient, because it says, well, we're going to just give you this day to worship and to rest and all this, for those of you that do the 7th day and those of you who want to do the Sunday. So we're going to meet you 50-50. But for those of you who have to go by nature, we cannot do that. I digress. 47, and to you all the children of Israel, thus said the king, for 6 days you shall do your work and labor, but on the 7th day you shall rest. Now this is according to the Egyptians have their own. The Egyptian calendar is the same as the Gregorian calendar. Now I want you to study that and mark me as either lie or true. It's the same thing. The Egyptians came up with it first. I give them that. Yes, they did. For 6 days you shall do your work and labor. On the 7th day you shall rest, and shall not perform any work. Thus shall you do all the days, as the king and Moses, the son of Bathia, the bath lady, and have commanded. Now, this is why I read some books and I take to some books to be good, because they are. The book Discoverer by Daniel Borenstein also goes and talks about time, how time was discovered. But he goes by the Egyptian time, then he goes to the Grecian timetable, then he goes to the what you call the Roman or Gregorian is Grecian, really the same thing. And where they got it from, you have to realize the Greeks got a lot of things from the Romans because of Alexander, who stole a lot of things and burnt it up, and just a lot of things are missing, a lot of artifacts, whether they be lie or true, still they were taken. One thing that was true about the Egyptians were their mathematical abilities. This is how they built the Great Pyramids. Their mathematical reasoning was very good, outstanding, that which is supernatural in many ways. Now, 48, and Moses rejoiced at this thing which the king had granted him. Now this is all the Most High working in this. And all the children of Israel did as Moses ordered them. See, you got some jobs you work. You need to take 1 day and 7 either way. You're still in captivity. For those of you who can go by the weekend, or those of you that can go by the nature, the true Sabbath, then you do so. Rest. Just rest. Even if you've been resting all week, just rest. And just rejoicing that God created the heavens and the earth. It's just the thought of it. Until we come to that great day where God takes over everything, and then we will know all things. But the fact is that those of you that cannot, this is the same that's happening here. Pharaoh had them working not 24/7, because nobody could work 24/7 back then. It was just too dark. You couldn't do things. You wouldn't get much done. But he had them working 7 days a week, apparently, by this narrative. These people had no rest, only to go to bed and wake up and do the same thing all over again. No rest. No rest. To sit around and talk junk with your family and talk junk with the bros or whatever. No rest. 49, for this thing was from the I Am to the children of Israel, for the I Am began to remember the children of Israel to save them for the sake of their fathers. Now this is in a span between his birth and 80 years after that. And the I Am in verse 50 was with Moses, and his fame went throughout Egypt. And Moses became great in the eyes of all the Egyptians and in the eyes of all the children of Israel. He's giving him favor, as we was discovering today, and speaking words of peace regarding them to the king. In other words, to try to, level out everything. Everybody get along. Can we all get along? We're going to read a few out of 71. And when Moses was 18 years old, this is a teenager, he desired to see his father and mother, and he went to them to Goshen. And when Moses had come near Goshen, he came to the place where the children of Israel were engaged in work. In other words, he knew who he was either way. He knew he was an Hebrew, child of Jacob. He observed their burdens and saw that an Egyptian smiting one of his Hebrew brethren. And when the man who was beating saw Moses, he ran to him for help, for the man Moses was greatly respected in the house of Pharaoh. And he said to him, my leader, or whatever they meant by that. This says the L word. Attend to me. This Egyptian came to my house in the night, bound me, and came to my wife in my presence. And now he seeks to take my life away. What? Isn't it the same thing they did back in the day? Even not only in the United States, but all over the country where these colonizers were. This Egyptian came and laid with his wife and wanted to kill her husband in front of his face. He did these things. You can imagine some of the things they've been through. And even today, some of you can't fathom the depth of the pain that people have gone through with these people who are directed, who are ingrained in them is the wrath of the Most High, even Deuteronomy chapter. See, this is what gets us to try to search out what God wants us to do and do those things with the best we can with all our heart, and stop leaning to your own understanding and your own comfort zone. Maybe you're in your comfort zone. You love it. You like the part of being a Hebrew Israelite, but yet I can sit back in my easy chair watching TV and watch the game every now and then. But yeah. Oh, all praises. Some of us can. Oh yeah. But when you start actually doing what the law says do, it's going to take you right out of your comfort zone. I don't care whether you're on the street or not. You don't have to be on the street. As soon as you start doing these things that are not in your comfort zone, it's going to become hard. Then they're going to begin to hate you because Satan will see these things. And he will get in the heart of these people so fast that you will wonder why they hate you. All you got to do is look to the law. He hated you without a cause. Now, and when Moses heard this wicked thing, his anger was kindled against the Egyptian, and he turned this way and the other way when he saw the... Now see, the 66 books are not going to tell you this thing. Trying to lily wash it. Make it straight, make it smooth to go down. This man raped his wife in front of him, to put it plainly. And Moses was angry. And his anger was kindled. The 66 books have been written by Greeks. And then them same folks that come, the derivative of Greeks or whatever, the Arabs, come over there in doggone Egypt and took it over. God said these things would happen. Why are you going to say you Egyptians? You Egyptians by birth? Yeah, you burrowed in the land. But you're what they call, you're not even an Arab. Clients. Read the book, The History of Hebrews and Arabs by Gert Mueller and Anabantu. Very good book. Yes. And when Moses heard the thing, now, it says then, still in verse 3, he says, this way the other man, when he saw there was no man There he smote the Egyptian and hid him in the sand and delivered the Hebrew from the hand of him that smote him. And the Hebrew went to his house, and Moses returned to his home and went forth and came back to the king's house. And with that, we got a long way to go. Although we might have been woke, we ain't woke enough to action. We were woke enough to words. We can quote scriptures and all this thing, but our actions are very wanting before the Most High. I'm not excluding myself. I have things that God would desire me to do I have not done. Or maybe it's not his timing, I don't know. But the fact is, I'm not at peace with such things. And when you're not at peace with things that you're doing, then it's time for a change. It's time, but the timing is always there when your heart gets to the point where I'm doing it regardless. I'm going to sacrifice to the Most High regardless. I'm going to do this regardless. Some of you are not even circumcised. I'm going to get circumcised regardless. Some of you got wives you still sleep in the same room with on their monthly cycle. Oh, that's a tall order, bro, Clay. That's a real tall order. Yes, it is. I mean, if you have a big enough house, she should have a special room that she goes. I mean, some of you can't do it, God, but some of you can, and you'll be held responsible for it. She go there and spend her woman time. This is why a lot of them had more than one wife, really. I mean, you need to go and really explore these things. The things that we don't do. Yeah, you have your fringes, you got your little hats, you look cool with your little purple suit of gold and black and this and that and all. Yeah, you cool, okay, but clothes don't make what God wants you to be. Don't you know the children of Judah had to run through Africa with no clothes? That's the reason they didn't have no clothes, because they could escape. In around 70 AD, they had nothing else. They had to just escape with the clothes on their back, and those clothes got old. And when they was discovered, they were running naked almost. They had to use other things to make themselves clothes. These are some tribes, even in the continent of Africa, that people can't explain where they came from. Got a long way to go, man. We got a long way to go. But with that, we're going to say shalom, peace. Just keep reading that law, that statutes and ordinances of the Most High until it pricks your heart so that you are provoked to action. Because all of it's nothing but verb. Yes.
Walk with me.